Hello. So basically, I noticed that there isn't a trait tier list, at least not one that I know of decaying winter traits, because traits are pretty important. They may not seem important, but they're pretty important. And I noticed there's no tier list of them. That makes me sad. So I am going to be making one myself. And since there are no real pictures of them, I just drew drew faces, like expressions of all of them. Might not get the gist of it, but whatever. Anyway, let's start with impatient. Impatience is an all-around good trait, unless you have 15% more movement speed. That might not seem like a lot, but it can be. Especially with like Zealot or something that makes you go slower, this can negate it. And having good more movement speed is very important in pretty much all games in general, even Decaying Winter. Because you need to go around finding loot, you need to run around while fighting enemies. It's all around good, so I'll put that A. Next up, we have Manic. Manic lets you swing with melee weapon, swing heavy, do heavy swings 30% faster. That's pretty good, to be perfectly honest. You're going to be doing a lot of heavy swings, more than you think, especially with spears, because you need to get that long range. So, and 30% is quite a bit too. It's 1/3. 1/3's a lot. Well, not exactly 1/3, but almost 1/3. So I'm gonna put that at B. Uh, Tormented. Tormented lets you have 15 more max health. This pretty much never disappoints, to be honest. Nothing much to say about it. 15 max health. And that's pretty good, especially for classes like Vagabond or Hive Mind, which make you have less max health. This can completely negate it. And having just 115 max health is good overall. I mean, it can really come in clutch. Never disappoints, pretty good trait. A. Honorable. I have mixed feelings about Honorable, really. Honorable lets you do more damage with fists, but nobody cares about that. The big thing about Honorable is that you can parry with fists. Normally you can't do that. Parrying is very important because it's literally blocking. Blocking is important because if you can't parry, you're just shoving, hitting, shoving, hitting. That takes a lot of stamina. So, if you can't find, it's because we've all had those waves, those rounds where like we can't find a melee weapon for the first two nights. We have to rely on the ballistic knife. It's very annoying. But with honorable, you can parry with fists. It's a total game changer sometimes. Emphasis on sometimes. Just because of the parrying, and put it at B. No chance for it to be above that though. Reliable. 15% less damage taken by all means. That's pretty good. Again, this can't disappoint. What's bad about it? It's 15% less damage. Now you could say 15% is not a lot, and I argue that it's kinda a lot. 15%, that's more than 1/10. 1/10 taken damage taken from melees, traps, everything. Well, there are a few exceptions, like some things have very fixed damage, such as spikes and storm. But again, 50% is not that much, but it can definitely help. So B. Speaking of defense, Fearless. Fearless is one of my personal favorites. 25% less damage from firearms and explosives. That's 1/4 damage gone from all kinds of gun scats, which is so good. Especially if you combine it with reliable, that's 40% less damage from firearms. Like, think about it. AK scavs, they shred you. They really do. They shred you. But if you combine these two, 40% less damage, just almost half. That can really save you. So I'm going to put this at A. Next up, we have Relentless. Relentless. Whenever you drop below 30 health, you get 100 stamina, just like that. 5-second cooldown. I can understand how this can come in clutch sometimes, but I feel like it's very, very situational. Like, it's very helpful in the kind of situation where you're hitting people, running out of stamina, running out of health, but then the Chad Reliable comes in, Chad Relentless comes in, gives you stamina so you can shove and run, or just hit them more, you know? That's not bad. It's not bad at all. But, again, very situational. It's not going to be important very often. C. Next up, we have Aggressive Behavior. Lets you do more damage with fists, and lets you shove faster. To be honest, no one cares about the fist damage, but the shoving is what's important here. But even then, it's not that good, because even though you're going to be shoving a lot, you're not going to be spamming it. Especially with gun scavs, because stunning gives them more accuracy. So I'm going to put this as C, and you could argue that classes that make you shove slower, this can negate it, but really, it's really not that bad in the end. Next up, we have Calm. Calm lets you have 50 more max stamina. That is so good. Especially with melee-oriented perks. Classes like Berserker, Executioner, stuff like that. That can really be helpful because if you didn't know, if you run out of stamina, you hit slower and do less damage. But then your Chad Calmness comes in, and you're able to hit a lot more, shove more, stuff like that. You know? So I'm going to put this at A. It's very good, especially if you have a perk that lets you have more stamina anyway. That's 200 stamina. Double your max. That's so good. Violent Tendencies. This is pretty much the same thing as Manic, except with light swings instead of heavy swings. So in that case, I'm going to put the same level as Manic. Like, it's good. 30% more, 30% faster light swings. That's not bad at all. Next up, Professional. Reduces recoil by 50%. That's pretty good, to be perfectly honest. Like, recoil in pretty much any game is very annoying, especially Decaying Winter, because like it's pretty much just a cooldown on guns, really. Like, if you don't wait to shoot again before that recoil goes away, you're gonna miss. That's a guarantee. But if you have Professional, that recoil goes away by a lot, which can be so helpful. So I'm gonna put that in A. Lone Wolf lets you hip fire, 65% more accuracy, fanning and levering. What fanning means is that basically you get to shoot revolvers faster. That's it. But the hip fire, hip fire is not that important most of the time. You're going to be doing a lot more aiming than hip firing. Hip firing is very situational. The only times I see hip fire being useful is one, if you're running and don't have time to aim, or two, if a bunch of scavs are really, really close to you. and like crowded, and you need to spam the pistol. In the latter situation, to be honest, hipfire is not going to matter anyway. Like, actually, it's not going to matter anyway because they're like 2 inches away from them, so it'll hit them anyway. Hipfire is not really that important, or at least the accuracy of one. So C. Paranoid. Paranoid lets you shoot semi-auto guns 50% faster, and snappy aiming, which means you aim down sights faster. Personally, my favorite part of this perk is the snappy aiming, because I normally go with classes that have bad aim, and having snappy aiming can really save you, because since I use melee classes, I don't have good hipfire, so I practically have to use aiming. And even if you're using a gun-oriented class, snappy aiming can be pretty useful. It's not that great, it's not A or S tier good, but it's B good. Methodical. 15% more melee damage. Let's be honest, no one cares about methodical. No one equips this ever. The only time I see you equipping it is if you need melee damage so bad, but you absolutely need to equip perk that reduces melee damage. It's the only time I see you using it. Other than that, it's kind of useless. 50% is not much at all for melee damage. Because for most weapons, you're going to do like 5 more damage, which is not a lot at all. And even if you're doing a weapon that's a ton of damage, you do like 10 more, it's not going to matter. The enemy's going to die anyway. So I'm going to put that at C, maybe even D. Yeah, D. Nobody cares about methodical. Reliable. Reliable lets you reload weapons 65% faster. Reliable is pretty good in my opinion, because if you're using a melee-oriented class but need guns, most of them make you reload slower, which is pretty annoying to be honest. Like for example, I use Arbiter a lot, and the slower reloading is so annoying, especially with revolvers. Like, there's just one Peacemaker that literally took like 30 seconds to reload just because I had Arbiter. But if you have Reliable, then the reloading just basically goes a lot faster, which can be very helpful in a lot of situations. But like for a lot of classes, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like what class you have based. So I'm gonna put that at B. Survivor. Everyone knows what Survivor is. Everyone uses it. Survivor is one of the best traits in the game, if not the best trait. Basically, it lets you regenerate 1 HP every 10 seconds. You might think, that's so slow. That's terrible. No, because you don't have passive regen anyway. 1 health every 10 seconds is way better than nothing. Because since you can't normally regen, like think about it. Normally during the earlier waves, they start chipping at your health a little bit. Like by the 4th wave, you'll have like 30 health gone, you'll have 70. You think, ah shit, I have to use a med kit. But then Chad Survivor comes in, who generates all that health, and you have like 95 or something. The max you can really regenerate is like 12 maybe by the next wave, which is quite a bit, because it adds up a lot. You even regenerate while fighting, which can be pretty clutch. And not to mention the fact that it negates bleed damage, which I love. So I'm gonna put that S tier. Deserves S tier so much. Anyway, that is my traits tier list for Decaying Winter. If you have any like disagreements, post them in the comments, I guess. Just be nice about it, please. Thank you.